Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is yet another episode of The Culture. This is episode 5. And for episode 5, we had to make it special. We had to make it different. And today we have none other than Sanga Tembo with us for episode 5 of The Culture. For those who don't know, Sanga Tembo is a DJ, he's a radio presenter, he is someone who documents the Zambian creative industry and arts through multiple platforms. He does reviews, he has been a voice on the radio, which people still say they want back on shows such as the Eardrum. He has also had a part to play with Zambezi Juice Levo Up. And without further ado, Sanga Tembo, welcome to episode 5 of The Culture.
What's up, man? What's up? I don't envy your job right now. I don't. I don't. That was a mouthful. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have endeavored to bring people that have really stood out within the artistic and creative fields of the arts in Zambia to this show. And I think after the first few shows, I had to start shortlisting, and every time I made a shortlist, Sanga Tembo was still on that list, not only for myself, but for people who know what music is, people who are passionate about music, and people who want to know what's happening with music.
Yeah.
I first heard of you on the Eardrum, which was a show that was on radio. It particularly catered to the hip hop demographic, the Z hip hop demographic, but I know that you are into everything. You want to know about everything.
Yeah.
Sanga Tembo, tell us, how did this journey start? Was Eardrum your first radio show? Is that how you got into everything, or?
It actually was like officially my first radio show, but before that, I was in the fan club at Flavor FM. That's how I got into radio. Steve So Sick, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I
He's
do.
with
Steve
Sun
So
now.
Sick, shout out to
He gave
Steve
me
So
my
Sick.
first shot at Flavor. He put me in the fan club. I was really shy back then. So that station gave me the confidence to get into radio. After like a month with them, I had to move to Lusaka, you know, with Radio Phoenix, of course.
So you were based on the Copperbelt first?
I was based on the Copperbelt. I grew up there in Ndola City, actually. I was born there.
Shout out to Dollar.
So after that, moved to Lusaka, was with Radio Phoenix for about 1 year and 4 months. That's where Eardrum started.
Really?
There's a few people who know this. I used to host that show at 1 a.m. in the morning. So the only people that would
Such an
listen,
awkward time.
yeah, would be like uni students and people who were like really studying late at night. But I've always had this passion to speak on hip hop music because that's like my favorite genre of music.
Awesome.
Yeah, so after that, I had to go to school after that 1 year and 4 months. After school, I felt, man, there's need to continue, but I need to keep this name, but bring on a different concept.
Sure.
That's how come I thought of the battle raps. That's the Eardrum people know now that I did for 3 years with ZNBC.
Wow.
So the battle raps idea came in as just an idea. I really wanted to see local rappers on international beats. 100%. So I'd get all these beats. Thank God I wasn't sued. I'd get all these beats I'd get all these beats from YouTube, from my favorite rap artists. Because at that time there was this cry. There was this thing, Zambian rappers are not as good as Western rappers. Zambian rappers are not that good, you know, are not as good as South African rappers.
So on the timeline, roughly, what era was that? Was that early Mark II, Slap D, or was that before? Was that Crisis, or?
No, that was way after these guys.
That was way
like
after.
Maybe 2014 to 2018, that period.
I see.
We have to face it. Zambian hip hop sounds a certain way. There's a certain kind of production that the masses here like, and that
are you referring to like Dunka hip hop kind of?
Kind of.
The more of the really heavy beats,
the dark themes, the Mzenga Man kind of sound.
Yes.
Nothing against Mzenga Man, he's a great producer, but he's one of those producers that have like defined how Z hip hop or should.
And the hits, the bangers, the ones that play in the club, 408 Empire, Chandanake, that kind of style.
That kind of style. Though that style is from the Copper Belt, but the Mzenga Man kind of hip hop is what the masses are used to, is what the average Zambian gravitates towards as
100%.
You know, local hip hop. So I wanted to get some of those rappers on those beats on these American beats, just to prove that our local rappers also have that edge. That
they have the rhymes, they have the lyrical ability, the punchlines, the metaphors, all of that.
Exactly.
100%.
So I didn't even know it would grow to the level it grew, honestly. I was just trying something out for fun, like take a Jay-Z beat and take J Cash or take Bow Chase or whoever
and
locally.
See what they would do.
See what they would do on it. Then from that idea came the battle raps. Now take two rappers, one from maybe Kasama, one from Lusaka.
Yes.
Let them battle it out and have people vote. I've always been big on interaction with the people listening to me.
With the audience, 100%.
Yeah.
So that went on for, you've said it went on for a period of 3 years.
3 years.
And then at some point in time, it had to come to an end, obviously.
Yeah.
And I check social media, I see people's commentary on your review videos. They're always like, Sanga, eardrum.
Yeah.
Obviously, things happen, life goes on, you transition.
People have families.
Things happened and the show had to come to an end. Is it something that still haunts you, or do you feel like I'm happy with what I gave in that particular time frame and it's time to move on to the next thing? How did you approach the ending of that and people's like response to it?
It hurts when people ask about it because I feel really sad to look at people want this thing back that they enjoyed so much.
Sure.
But then again, there's this fulfillment. Like I really did this for 3 years and I put in all I could.
Yeah. Blood, sweat, tears, everything.
Yeah.
Behind the
See
scenes,
these battle rappers do their thing.
We all know how difficult it is to get artists to submit something on time,
Exactly.
to get them to show up on time. So I think that it really did serve its purpose. And I mean, it's the reason we're having this interview today. That's how I first knew you.
Yeah.
But then I've also watched you branch out and do other things.
Yeah.
I know that you're also into music and some logistics for events.
Yep.
So you are able to help cater to sound equipment and so on and so forth.
Mostly for weddings and kitchen parties and corporate events.
So that's an example of your art and your love for art and creativeness branching out into a service that you can offer to people as well.
Exactly. And also get money back.
It's all about bringing something home, right? At the end of the day, we all have to eat.
Exactly.
So that has kept on, but then I've seen also on Zambezi Juice Levo Up, you had a stint where you'd bring in artists, you'd get to know the artists, they would drop some really cool freestyles.
A visual representation of Eardrum, but just not the same.
Yes, yes, a slightly different variant.
Because I've always been afraid of the saying, you do the same thing twice, you might not get received the same way.
It's true.
I had to like incorporate the visuals and just give that, like, what would battle rappers now be like if they were being watched? Like, what would this whole thing be like if, let's say, Eardrum went to TV with a different name? And thanks to ZambeziJuice.com,
yes,
we've been able to do that.
Yes,
definitely. And that's transitioning for me, growth at every stage. And I'd like to thank everyone who helped me through this journey. You know, starting with people like Lucci at Phoenix, Lina Zulu at Radio 4.
Yes.
People I listened to coming up in this hip hop circle, Jamil Banda. Don't know if you know DJ Scratch.
DJ Scratch, yes.
People like KB, Ice the Underground.
Shout out to
it's a whole lot of people that, you know, I've been listening to and who helped me grow as a presenter.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So before we keep on diving into what you've done and your impact, let's take it back. First things first, you're always the one doing the interviews, so I'm happy that you get to relax, sit back, and we get to pick your brain and find out more about the person behind all of this contribution to the industry you've made. You've told us that you grew up on the Copper Belt. Your particular preference, your favorite genre is hip hop.
Yeah.
Did you ever see yourself doing all of this stuff?
At a young age, yeah. I've loved like radio DJs for as far back. Radio was therapy to me, you know, growing up in Masala and Dola.
Shout out to Masala.
You need friends, but then again, we all have those alone moments where you need something that fulfills you. So for me, that was hip hop music and radio. You know, my neighbors introduced me to tapes like Mace Double Up. People will be like, you listen to Mace?
Hashtag Mace.
Yeah. So Mace, Machiavelli, the album, Nostradamus.
Yes.
Those were like my first ever hip hop tapes.
Yeah.
And from then on, I just gravitated towards that genre. You know, Rumba was big back then, but for me, hip hop music and I don't know why it's been like this, Mozambia, but for many years, there's always been like one hip hop show on radio, or maybe just a small segment playing hip hop. So those segments for me are what I would
segments you would look out for.
And that's how come I started documenting these things in my mind. Like, oh, Radio 4 today played Slap D. Who is Slap D? Asembe Sembe. Who is Crisis, you know?
But then you took it a step further from just enjoying the listening, and you almost felt like you wanted to shed more light on who these artists were, where they're from, what are their stories. Was that in attempts to try and grow the market share of hip-hop in Zambia?
Exactly, man, because there wasn't too much of that growing up. There still isn't. I can name like the main DJs playing hip-hop in just one hand now. There still isn't. So
off the top of your head, which DJs come to mind?
It's like Fanatic, there's
Shout out to Fanatic.
Bad Boy T.
Bad Boy T, definitely.
There's Ruben from Joy FM.
Yes.
So Sick does it sometimes. There's Bugsy here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a few guys. There's Mad Chills with Mad Swiss rather. I'm thinking MC. Because I'm sitting right next to MC. There's Mad Swiss with Diamond TV. So
yes, he does that too.
Everybody out there, because I'm just a regular fan of music with a couple of platforms talking about music.
Definitely.
If you are a fan of this genre and you've seen the same problems that I've seen, please feel free to join the media and ensure that
sometimes you have to
tradition.
There's that saying, if something isn't being done the way you hope it can be done, sometimes you yourself have to fill that void and step in and be a solution to a particular problem.
Exactly. Carry on tradition, you know. I was a fan of a show called Urban Central on Radio Phoenix. It played nothing but hip hop right after the biggest local countdown in the country at the time, the Local Rhythms Countdown on Phoenix. So I would listen to the Local Rhythms Countdown. It would end, then I wouldn't sleep until maybe 1 in the morning listening to Urban Central.
Yes.
I hoped and wished that show would stay on for more than 4 years, but it had to end because the host, DJ Scratch, had to move on to other things.
Definitely.
So
and I think sometimes in the process of moving on, it doesn't necessarily mean the passion has died or the zeal to serve the culture has died, but sometimes life just seems to happen, right?
Exactly. People grow.
I mean, as we sit here now, we're both fathers. You've got a lovely baby boy. How old is he now?
He's 1 year and 8 months now.
1 year and 8 months. Congratulations.
He didn't even want me to leave.
To come for this interview.
So imagine that.
So sometimes you do what you have to do. You push through certain obstacles to get things done. But it is something that is a contributing factor to how much activity you can do at a given time. You're a lovely family man as well. And I think looking at it from where you've been to where you've gotten to now, what are some of your own personal hopes for what you might be able to continue to do? And what do you see as like a utopia of, okay, we're not where we started in this genre, and people are arguably saying hip hop is one of the biggest genres in the world right now. Where do you think in Zambia, on the local scene, where can we go? Where have we come from and where can we go?
A stronger hip hop community. I want to see hip hop music not exist in other genres. You know, of course, by it existing in other genres like Dunga and everything else that we have, artists are eating. But look at SA, man. SA has like a strong hip hop community where you have an A-Reese trending. Unashamed.
Purely in it.
You know, purely in it. We need that. You know, and shout out to people like Dismo and everybody else doing it here, Critic, you know, Cam and everybody else, the Slaps. They do their thing.
Definitely.
But there's need for a stronger hip hop community where an artist could grow up back in high school just thinking, if I join that community, I'll still be able to eat as much as maybe, you know,
you're touching on something that is so interesting because basically what you're saying is, for example, in South Africa, you've got your household names, you've got your Casper and your Vest, you've got your AKA, you've got your Questa, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And they are able to purely just focus on that genre. They'll dabble in one or two amapiamos and
House
a bit of house,
yeah.
but solely their bread and butter is hip hop. They stick to that. Yeah. Their fan base buys into that. They buy their merchandise, they buy their CDs, they go to the concerts, and they eat directly off that. Are you saying that in Zambia sometimes you need to toe that line and you need to maybe do a bit of the other sounds that are popping just so that you can enjoy some kind of steady income?
Exactly. More rappers do that. More rappers do that right now, just to eat. And they will tell you bluntly to say, if you're a rap sana, corporate entities won't come in and just spend on you. You need to at least balance to cater to abengi. But you find that in the hoods, kids claim to love hip hop.
Yes.
So if you have that many youths, interested in hip hop music, why isn't it growing into the mainstream on its own as a hip hop community? And that's where I think there's need for more representation on radio, TV, by people who follow it, who want to carry on tradition from the ones who've just left or transitioned.
I guess one key thing, we say follow or representation, but we touched on something earlier where we said that sometimes you have to do what you need to do to eat.
Exactly.
And I guess to some extent, arguably so, getting someone to buy a CD, getting someone to attend a show, getting someone to stream instead of just a free zipped file or a download on said hip hop, etc. Isn't that the transition we need to make? Are people ready to pay yet?
I'll have to blame ourselves for that and failure to transition in terms of production. People are not ready because of that. If you've given people too many singles that sound like the songs that are going to be on your album, I don't think people will buy. So
there needs to be some kind of extra incentive.
Yeah, it needs to be growth. Because if you look at SA right now and Aries, people are hoping for Paradise 2 to
100%.
sound really grown. It has to be something that isn't like the singles he's been giving, Pagatapa with Mash Beats. It's the same in Zambia. If you've given people too many singles that sound a certain way and you drop an album that has the same beats or the same mixing, and there's nothing to buy. There's nothing that's attracting me. Your first single of an album has to tell me a lot about what's coming.
Going to be in there.
And Zambians are not silly or they're not stupid. That's the word I'm looking for. You can't fool them. If they know exactly what's coming, the chances are they're going to stick to their top.
Or they'll wait for a bootlegged version of some sort.
Exactly.
But we've got people out here like Mvesisani.com. I mean, I saw just the other day, the Mzengaman Sci-Fi was one of the highest selling there. You had Slap D topping the charts there. When Bon Appetit first came out, it was topping the charts. When Vision came out, it was pushing towards the top of the list. Is this some of the trickle down effect of maybe people are wrapping their head around paying for the music?
I guess so. Because Mvesisani is doing good. It could be that. It could be. But also keep in mind that those charts are based off of the people on Mvesisani.
Only.
Are we getting people everywhere on Mvesisani? When you say this is the #1 album in the country, is it really? Or is it just inside
in that
Mvesisani?
particular pot?
So if 10 people bought a Slap D album,
yes,
obviously, if there's 15 people on that site, Slap D's album will go to the top. But that's not really
a true reflection
of countrywide support.
So maybe what you're saying is we need to take it back to the days. Let me take you back to Sounds. You remember Sounds? They had their CD
top
shops
20
and they had their show that would give us the top 20, top 10. And that was usually based on some kind of voting system. Unless I'm incorrect in my recollection. people would vote on what they liked the most. So if you saw something on sounds in the top 10, chances are it was moving some units. Chances are,
and that chart I think was based on the units they sold in each individual store, like
yes. So maybe we need something that speaks to the whole demographic for a true reflection on, okay, people are saying that this is the best one in this particular time period, and that's related to overall units sold and so on and so forth.
I guess.
Perhaps even the award systems, the Kwacha awards and so on and so forth. They use a system which gives every province a chance to really assess.
Compete and assess on a national scale.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We need something like that. The States already has that. You know, SA already has that. Like an independent body.
And fully independent. So there's no one that can force any particular agenda or strategy. It has to be organically based on sales and based on people's reaction. Now, speaking of reactions, you seem to be the king of reviews and reactions. I think this is a newer endeavor. How long have you been doing reviews for?
A year. The king, I'm not really sure, but I think it's mostly, and I thank my friends for this, the support I'm receiving from my friends who followed me throughout Eardrum till now.
Sure.
Those are some of the same people with that same hunger for me to bring back Eardrum, who keep watching me on my reaction videos and subscribe to my YouTube page, which is Sanga Tembo.
Sanga Tembo, subscribe to Sanga Tembo.
They'd like to see more of me talk about like
and you're pushing some numbers there. I'm actually one of those subscribers. Wow, I see a few Zalis there. People are following. And how long has that been? How is it going?
It's been going on for a year, since last year, January.
Sure.
It's something I do in my free time, you know. And it's been growing. There's a couple of tracks I gain interest in, get those tracks, review, you know. Other guys tend to submit their music for me to review.
Sure.
And I just give my honest opinion.
Yeah.
The concept was, okay, how am I going to be different from every other person reacting?
Yes.
I'll just give my honest opinion, the same honest opinion I gave while I was on radio listening to a track. After it, I'd go, oh, this is dope, or oh, this is whack. You need to go back to the studio. You can do better. You can improve in these ways. So I was like, what would a visual representation of that look like? And then one day I just, you know, gathered courage and I was in front of a camera doing it.
Yes.
If you check the setup, I'm doing it in my car, inside the house.
Yeah.
I'm just comfortable.
Real life. You're living life, and you're as you would normally listen to music when you are at home, when you're chilling, etc.
Exactly.
Now, some of these reviews obviously garner some attention, either positive, either negative.
Yeah.
And I think music is something that will always garner some kind of an opinion.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Because to give an opinion, you have to also be honest.
Exactly.
If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And it's okay to have different views.
How do I deal with the backlash?
Yes.
It comes. Sometimes we chat. There's need to chat with these artists, more inbox, make them understand this is entertainment.
Yes.
You put this out for us to download. You cannot expect Fiance video positive or Fiance video negative. There has to be all sorts of views thrown at you.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't expect a positive review. That's unrealistic.
Yes.
Some understand, some go on to say, no, when I meet you, it's on site. You said something bad about my song. But at the end of the day, with time, everybody understands. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
It would be so boring if everyone just downloaded your song and just kept quiet. You're not getting feedback.
Yeah. And I guess it just comes with the territory, but nonetheless, it's something that I think is entertaining to watch. And I think it's something that also promotes. Sometimes people don't know a song until you've reviewed it and mentioned it. Okay. So when you look at the overall picture of the impact of it, I think it's something that we need in South Africa, in America, everywhere. You have people that do reactions, and it helps highlight more of the culture and what's on offer.
And the more I try to make them see that aspect, the better, and the quicker peace comes in, because they now see it as promo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All promo is good promo.
That's how the
Arguably
entertainment
so.
industry
And then
works.
you're also able to give us updates on current affairs in regards to entertainment. In
Thanks to
celebrity.
ZambeziJuice.com, that segment is done every Sunday now because they compile the news, the headlines, and what's happening.
Yes.
I have an agreement with them where I get those headlines and expand on them.
Exactly.
And just give my honest opinion on every headline. And
Sure.
we just do what we can.
Where do you think, for someone in your position, more support can be involved in the whole process? Is it just an issue of getting more numbers? Would there be any partnerships, sponsorships, or deals you would be interested in doing? I think because a lot of this stuff hasn't really been done as much. Sponsorships and things for artists. We're seeing now people on aqua bottles. We're seeing our artists on energy drinks. So it's something that can happen now. But I feel like even the people who document from these sort of perspectives should also be approached for deals and endorsements so that you can do this at a larger scale, so that you can negate some of the harsh things that come with. I mean, it takes your time, it takes your effort, it takes your resources. I would love to see more people also show support to the people documenting the art.
Yeah.
Not just the art.
In Zambia, we have to be realistic, fam. The more numbers you get, the easier it is for those corporate guys to come in, or people who want to advertise their stuff.
Sure.
To jump on.
Yeah.
You know, take Simon Mwewalane, for example.
Yeah.
You know, his numbers just
Blow up.
and then people came in. That's the support we all need. You know,
So
that's
it
the only
starts
way.
fundamentally
It's
with just support.
With support and yourself putting out creative content out there.
Yes.
You know, people need to subscribe. And if people, we are done with the era of just coming on TV or radio to just ask for sponsorship. You know, sponsor me, what are you doing with your platform?
Yes.
You know, are you getting in enough numbers? Are people subscribing to you? Are you interesting to these corporate people?
Sure.
That's why almost every YouTube
And
video
also
has,
conducting yourself in a certain way where
Yeah.
if they do choose to look into you, they do their checks. They'll check your social media, they'll check your character profile, and those are things that affect a lot of whether or not they choose to engage.
Exactly. Yeah. So
So-
it's really just numbers, behavior, and just how you conduct yourself as a brand.
So a lot of mutual support. If everyone within the industry, the artists, the stakeholders, if everyone supported everyone, you find that we would be able to hit a lot of these numbers which get people to garner more attention towards it, where if one person is eating, everyone potentially can eat.
Yeah. Because the corporate world is, the word that's coming, is brutal. It's
Sure.
brutally honest with you.
Yes.
You're not doing numbers, or you don't have too many people following you.
It's not viable.
It's not viable. They won't advertise with you. So support really has to come from the people watching and listening. But how do you gain that support?
That's
Put out
interesting.
creative content. It's
That's
all on you
interesting.
now. It's not just give me the support.
Yes.
I need sponsorship. What are you doing? Yeah.
So just as we start to approach the conclusion of this lovely interview, you're a pool of knowledge. You've seen where we've come from, you've seen where we are now, and I think from what you've said, I can see where you hope for us to go. You hope for us to be on the world stage. You hope for us to be appreciated for the indigenous talent we have. You have seen enough talent in us to believe that we can compete at that world stage.
Yeah.
What do we need to push a bit further?
In the industry, financing, and a lot of these labels coming on right now, Kalandanya, Nexus, Phantom, and whoever else is doing what they're doing, are like investing in the arts. So
It's a lot. It's
a
not
lot
cheap
to
to
do.
sign
It's
that
not
many
cheap.
people.
it's not, and
You
it's
need
not cheap to get
logistics.
features, and you know,
You
it's a
need
lot of work.
logistics. A lot of these people are being given titles,
Yeah.
and that comes with allowances, salaries,
Exactly.
so on and so forth.
We are headed towards a structured music industry. That's what we've always wanted. That's what we cried for many years. It's happening.
In other words, a bit of law and order.
A bit of law and order. We just hope nothing comes out of this that will make us feel like we sold our souls, or we are now
Yes.
in a slavery arrangement.
It's a nervous time, but it's also an optimistic time.
Yeah. Nothing comes without risk.
So there's always been an informal and formal approach to music.
Yeah.
There's the traditional get a record deal. After you get signed, get a record deal and X amount of albums, in agreement with this record deal, and that's the label you fall under. Then there's the informal independent route, where you're not signed to a major label, but you have your own networks and your own strategy, and they help you with your creative processes and your releasing of albums and so on.
Yeah.
If I'm not signed to Nexus or I'm not signed to Caledania, should I be giving up right now? Or what's the approach for all the artists that are on one side or they don't fall on either side?
No, that should tell you something. That should tell you there's need to go the Chance the Rapper route, where you have to really be disciplined and get a team that will be committed to you. You could easily mimic that model and do it on your own, but it's a tough road, but you have to invest. Mostly artists struggle with discipline, you know, where maybe attending interviews is concerned, you know, being at studio in time, just getting your mind right. Most of these independent artists are really disciplined and focused on their art, because they know that's their bread and butter. You know, we have so many artists used to, you know, pamper me after I've just, I've done a single now. It's up to you to listen and give me what's due to me. No, nothing works like that. So
you have to treat it like a business. You have to go out there and get it.
If you're not signed, roll with the punches, man. Go in, be disciplined. Make sure your music is treated like a business, just like the guys at the label treat music. You do that, you might succeed alone. You never have to sign a deal. Look at Russ in the States. You know, that's completely like he brags about being independent
and amassing so much following, you know, so much financial gain from it.
Getting money, but he ain't even in the mainstream like that. Look at A. Reese. Smokes a lot, but he has a team. People are anticipating his album the same way people anticipated Nasty's Zulu Man with Some Power. But Nasty is signed. You know, so just be disciplined.
Okay. Now, look, Sanga Tembo, I think this is the end of the show, but one thing I do for everyone who makes it to the show is, first and foremost, I thank you for your contribution to the culture. I thank you for investing all your time, your effort, your blood, sweat, and tears into this. I know that a lot of times people can often be ungrateful, or people can misunderstand the actual genuine purpose of what you're doing and why you're doing it. It is actually a lot of selfless service, and it's for the greater good of people that you know and you don't know. So I thank you for putting in everything that you've put in. I officially give you your flowers. I thank you for being on the culture, and I wish you prosperity, success, longevity in all of your endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thought you were going to ask me to rap there. Thank you.
Why, do you have some?
No.
I'm just joking. Guys, signing out. This is The Culture, episode 5, hosted by MC. Thank you for everybody that has put in work to make this possible. And keep safe, stay safe. COVID is real. Love, peace, prosperity. MC.